About a month ago, I was out and about when I heard someone call my name. And I turned around, and it was a woman that I used to work with many years ago. And I hadn't seen her in many years. Now, when we worked together, we were very friendly. Not only did we work together, but we also socialized outside of the work setting. I had been to her house, she had been to mine. We had attended several events together. One would have said that we were friends. But then she got pregnant and she quit her job, and that effectively ended the communication between us. So it had been a very long time since I had seen her. So after we exchanged a few pleasantries, she suggested that we get together sometime in the future. It wasn't that she asked necessarily, it was just a suggestion, but I didn't bite, and we left amicably, and I went home and I started thinking about friendships. I know that this is a problem area. It has been a problem area for me for a good part of my life. And I've addressed this in another video, but I just wanted to expound on it a little bit here because I think it's an important topic that has to be addressed. So in my usual fashion, I consulted the dictionary for the definition of friend. And one of the things that jumped out to me in reading the definition was this line: friends seek to promote your success. In other words, friends desire to further the progress of your success, to actively support it. Now, if you stop for a moment and consider that definition seriously, I think that will help you to draw a hard line down the people in your life. Which people are on the side of friends, and which people are on the side of just acquaintances. And I think this is an important distinction to be made because I think this is something that has confused me in the past, where I would have said, oh, I have so many friends, when that really wasn't the truth. Perhaps I only had one or two, and the majority of people that I was calling friends were really not friends at all. So at some point in your life, you realize that you have a lot of people in your life that don't fit there, or that don't belong there in the sense of calling them a friend. To be honest, we are not the type that is going to have a large circle of what is truly defined as friends. I know for me, because of my magnetic personality, I've drawn a lot of people to myself, or people have been attracted to me. Unfortunately, in my younger years, I got connected to a lot of these people, and in some cases, they were led to believe that they were my friends. Now, you could say that this was partially my fault, and in some cases it was, but in other cases, it was just more a matter of me not knowing myself. And that was okay, because that's what it is to grow. That's what it is to mature. I didn't really know myself. And so perhaps I did think that these people were my friends when they really weren't. The hard part comes when you wake up to the fact that you've allowed people into your life who aren't truly friends. People who really do not seek to promote your success. And I think when we finally awaken to that moment, when we finally awaken to that knowledge in our lives, when we finally understand, and when we finally desire the need for true friends in our life, and when we finally desire the need to cut those people out of our lives who do not fit that definition, I think that's when it gets to be a little bit difficult, because we're not sure how to handle it. We're not sure how to go about it. We're not sure the steps that we have to take in order to clean house in that way, in order to unclutter our lives of people. And it may sound harsh, but it's not, because you only have so much energy to go around. You only have so much of yourself to give. And I think that when you get older, you realize that you have to give of yourself wisely. You have to choose wisely those people that you wish to invest your energy into. So for me, I've gone through a very tragic experience in my life. And even though it was a horrific thing to have happened to me, it was the push that I needed to clean house in my own life. So, out of self-preservation, I did withdraw. I withdrew from a lot of people. And that is what helped me determine who would stay and who would go. What I experienced was something that the average person is not going to experience in their life. It was difficult. It was difficult to handle. It was difficult for other people to handle. A lot of people who were in my life when this happened to me didn't know what to do. They didn't want to handle it. It was some very heavy stuff. In many cases, a lot of these people stepped away of their own accord. It's not so much that I withdrew as they withdrew from me, because all of a sudden the person that was always there for them, no matter what, could not be there for them. And I literally could not be there for them. I mean, it took everything in me to just hold myself together, and there was no way I could be there for other people in the way that I had in the past. That didn't mean I wouldn't eventually get to that place again, because I have. But at the time, I wasn't capable of it. So interestingly enough, I withdrew in some cases, but most people withdrew from me. So for me, it was kind of like the die had been cast. But I know for most of us, that's not going to happen in our lives. We're not going to have a defining moment where something tragic happens and we take the sword out and just cut it down the middle. That's not going to happen. However, there are a few relationships still in my life that must be reevaluated. I think you need a strategy. So, in other words, once you've determined that the person who is in your life is not seeking to promote your success. And again, this goes both ways. A friend seeks to promote your success, and that means you do the same for someone else. So, if this isn't a two-way street with a person, then it's not a friendship. It's an acquaintance, and no more. So, I can just give you the understanding so that you know how to make these decisions about the people in your life. I can give you a strategy, for how to go about this, but it does come down to the individual. And to be honest, most of the people I speak to here have accrued a certain amount of wisdom in life. So I think if you really search within, if you do some introspection, I think that you will be able to hone in on the finer details of how to go about this. I don't necessarily want to share my entire strategy with you because it is personal to me. And, I've gotten to be where I am in my life because of my experiences and my upbringing and all of these things. And that you don't necessarily, even though we share the same type, we don't have all these experiences that are similar. We don't have the shared experiences. So we are different people. We aren't the same. So speaking personally for me, I have a woman in my life who, again, I was more involved with, it's been at least 12 years ago. And again, it was one of these things it was a situational thing. We were put into a situation together and we did things, I guess that you could say that friends would do together. But of course, at the time, it was a time when I was, I didn't evaluate who was to stay and who was to go. I didn't have the wisdom to do that. Anyway, she moved away, and she still continues to contact me once in a while. And I realized, as I grew as a person, that this person is not a friend. And again, I respect her as a person. I respect how she lives her life. Would she seek to promote my success? Possibly. But the difference here is that we don't have the same things in life that we value. And that is going to be a problem in the future. And I know that. She does not. So I can see that very clearly. And I think that is the way it is for us. There seems to be black and whites with things. Again, I gave you a definition. I gave you a black and white. Does this person do this or not? That's the black and white. But as we know, there are a lot of gray areas. And that's why I don't necessarily want to give details and advice. But in this case, yes, possibly, she could fill the definition of friendship. But there's just more than that. And as I said, I don't know that we have the same values. And I know, looking into the future, that it's not going to get either one of us anywhere. So she reaches out to me once in a while. She emails me. Once in a while she calls me. And my strategy right now is I'm just slowly withdrawing. So, she emails me. Sometimes I respond. Sometimes I do not. When I do respond, I keep my response short and to the point. I don't elaborate. I don't share details of my life. I am just withdrawing in increments until, hopefully, she gets the message. And this is the difficult thing that I think other people have trouble understanding. Someone might say, well, why don't you just tell her that you don't want to be her friend? Why don't you just tell her that it's over? But see, there is a deeper understanding. There's a wisdom I possess at this point in my life. And that is, I know if I tell her that, it will hurt her greatly. I have no desire to hurt her. I know the truth is going to hurt her. Should I hurt her? Are there times in life when perhaps maybe you do need to tell someone that? Yes, there are. It's specific for the individual. If it's an individual that needs to be wounded in order to grow, then by all means wound that person. But this is not a person that needs to be wounded. She would be hurt, and I do not wish to hurt her. So my strategy is just to slowly withdraw from her life. And she will think that life just got busy for the both of us and that we just lost touch. And that's the way I want it to be. And that's what I want her to think. And that's how I will lead her to think, for her own sake. There's one more thing I wish to say here. I'm not suggesting that you cut all people out of your life and only keep the people who are friends. That's not what I'm saying. I think people come into our lives so that we can help them. We will have contact with people that we can help in a powerful way. And that's something else that I'm going to speak about later, because I think that's another problem that we have in discerning who to help and who to step away from. And I'll talk about that as well later. And then this leads me to one more thing, and that's choosing relationships for growth. I think that it's extremely important that when we do get to the point in our lives when we are looking for those friendships, those strong friendships, that we need to understand how to choose correctly. And I do plan on addressing that in a future video. So keep this in mind. Do the people in your life seek to promote your success? Do they want you to prosper? Do they want you to be successful? Do they want to walk alongside of you and hold your hand and make sure that happens? Do you desire that other person's success? Do you wish to do the same thing for that person in a powerful way? That is what a friend is. And those are the people that you want to hold on to. Those are the people you want to keep in your life for as long as you can.